ridiculous and asinine.
If I may, Billy, they have been rehearsing it in Washington, D.C. every year for almost 15 years now. I think 13 or 14 years. You get all these delegates from all over the United States. They bring hundreds of people to Washington, D.C. It's a very well-funded. You can look it up. They've got their own website, conventionofstates.com.
And I know that, I understand that happens, but that's not, the conservatives want to live by the Constitution as is written. It's you guys that want to change the language on it and change the meaning of it. And that's why it's hypocritical of you to raise the specter of us wanting to do something nefarious like that.
But it's conservative groups and Republicans who are promoting the Convention of States. It's not Democrats. I don't know of any Democrats saying. I mean, I'll give you this, Billy. There are Democrats who are saying that we should amend the Constitution to reverse Citizens United, to essentially say, no, corporations are not people, and no, money is not speech. And I agree with that. I support that. And then there's a group, Move to Amend, that actually wants to amend the Constitution to say that. But that's a very different thing than calling a constitutional convention and literally rewriting the Constitution from top to bottom, which is what these conservative groups are calling for. They think that the welfare provision of the Constitution, for example, should be just stripped out. The government should have no role in the welfare of the people. And, I mean, this is a long-held conservative position. It's a legitimate conservative position. But, I don't think you can deny that conservatives have been saying since 1935 that Social Security is just socialism and Medicare should be, up to, private industry and, do away with food stamps and WIC because it's all terrible socialist stuff.
Okay, Tom, what about a convention to reestablish what the Constitution said and just make sure that it's in bold print for everybody to understand? Words mean things.
Well, words mean things, but at the end of the day, the Supreme Court is the final arbiter of what the words in the Constitution mean. And, they're changing those words rapidly. I mean, for a while, the words in the Constitution meant a woman can get an abortion. Now it means maybe she can't. So it's up to the Supreme Court. So, I'm not opposed to some clarification here and there, but I am a little concerned when people who are principally being funded by right-wing billionaires want to make America safer for billionaires. That's my concern.
Well, it's decided that the Constitution used the right of privacy to allow a woman to have abortion anytime she wanted to. It's conservative, but it's also very reasonable to say that you shouldn't be able to have an abortion as a means of birth control, that a woman can't decide in the 5th or 6th month or when she gets in a fight with her husband that she's going to abort the baby.
Well, under Roe v. Wade, what you're describing was the law. After the 3rd trimester, you pretty much had to have a legitimate reason, a legitimate medical reason to get an abortion in every state in the United States.
Well, you got to have and you should have a legitimate medical reason now, like this lady that's in Texas that needs to have an abortion. If the life of the mother is at risk, that's going to be between her and her doctor, and the doctor, you got to trust the doctor and the woman to make the right choice then.
Yeah.
But the idea of, just having an abortion when they want you, when you want to, or because it's not convenient for you to have a baby right now, is just wrong, Tom. And well, I think you know that.
I'd say pre-viability, Billy, that's a matter between the mother, the pregnant person, and their physician and if they want, the other family members, their spouse and pastor or rabbi or whatever. We disagree on that, Billy.
Since you brought it up, can you at least admit that a woman is the only one that can have a baby?
Generally speaking, I mean, there are some people who were born biologically women who have made more or less a transition to men, but are still biologically capable of having babies. But there's such outliers that I don't, I know the right loves to point to that, and it happened once. A couple of years back, there was, somebody who was in that situation and got all over Drudge and everything. Everybody was hysterical about it. So what? I mean, there's going to be outliers in everything. People who aren't conforming to the norm. is that worth a war of about the language that we use? I mean, is that worth? I just don't get it. I don't understand the right-wing outrage machine here, Billy. Apparently you do. Maybe you can inform me. Why should you care?
With all due respect, that's where you go off the rails. When you start saying that a man could be a woman and a woman could be a man, and we have, as human beings, have the right to change that.
But that's been happening throughout human history.
It's happened throughout human history. How?
There is literally no such thing as an indigenous community or tribe. I mean, look at any of the anthropology texts that doesn't have some definition of a third gender, essentially, that doesn't recognize, and in many cases recognize in a very favorable way, people who are what we would call queer today, on that spectrum, gays, lesbians, transgender people. They have been with us forever. They are part of the human family. Why sit around and trash them?
I'm not trashing anybody. I'm just saying.
But you are. You're saying, oh my God, a man could get pregnant. So what?
There's a difference between being gay and being androgynous.
So
and every human being should be treated with a tremendous amount of respect and love. That's what we're all called to do as conservatives.
Apparently, unless they happen to have been born a woman, make a transition to being a man, and then get pregnant. Apparently, according to you.
You can't sew a womb into a man and make him a woman. That just doesn't happen.
Nobody's doing that.
Well, I know, but that's you would take it that far.
Yeah. Again, it's just this. So what? People should be able to do with their bodies and their lives what they damn well please to do, as long as they're adults, And if
not if you ruin something that's perfect, like a woman's body or a man's body.
This is the problem, Billy. You feel like the body you were born into is the body that you should have been born into, and I do too. But there are people who don't feel that way, and I think they should have rights too.
Feelings have nothing to do with it.
Yeah, they have everything to do with it. Your sense of who you are is based on your feelings. Your knowledge that you're Billy and I'm Tom. Those are our feelings, Billy. Those are real things.
That's who I am too.
My point.
I'm Billy and I'm a man.
And you're a straight man. Yeah. But if you weren't a straight man, you'd still, I would still respect you as a human being.
I don't disrespect people because they have a differing opinion.
Then why are you trash talking them?
Who's trash talking them? I'm just saying.
You were just a minute ago going, oh, you can't have a woman, you can't have a man get pregnant. Well, yeah, you can actually.
Get pregnant. That's not trash talking anybody.
I think it implicitly denigrated their humanity, and it sounded sarcastic to me.
For you to accuse me of or trying to defame somebody by saying something that's true. A man cannot have a baby. That's just the truth.
Well, it depends on how you define a man.
Well, it depends on what the meaning of the word is, right?
No, it depends on what the meaning of the word man is.
No, sir. Biology is biology, and we can feel the way we want to feel. We can.
Again, what you're arguing here, Billy, is that we should not recognize trans people, and I think that that's just wrong. Trans people have been recognized throughout humanity, and we're starting to talk in circles here. I'm going to move along unless you've got another point you want to make.
One last point. The point was that you shouldn't worry about conservatives calling a convention of states in order to clarify what the Constitution says by the word, by the law, and reestablishing that. I think that's a good idea.
No, I get your opinion, and I got to tell you, Billy, the argument or discussion that we just had, and thank you for a reasonable one. I value those. Has made me even more alarmed about it. But Billy, I got to move along. Thank you for the call, and we will live to fight another day.